Okay, if you're here, you probably already know what an amazing strategy seller financing is in today's market. What you may not know is how to find a good deal and how to negotiate the best terms. In this video, I'm going to break down my top insider tricks to making seller finance work for you. My name is Courtney Maddox. I'm a real estate agent in Utah, and I've written over 30 of these seller finance offers in the last 2 years, over half of which the sellers were not originally considering seller financing. So if you're a buyer looking for an affordable monthly payment, or you have an atypical financing situation, or an investor looking to cash flow on an investment, this video is for you. Quick note, this is an advanced seller financing video, so if you need to know the basics of seller financing, you'll find what you need in my Seller Financing 101 video. Let's talk about finding the deal. Now, the worst thing I see agents and buyers doing in this market is setting themselves up on a listing alert for any properties that come available with the box checked for seller financing. Now, here's why that's a problem, because half the time it's really not a good deal. But if it is a good deal, everyone and their dog has that same listing alert set up, and so you get into a bidding war and it becomes not a good deal. So the first thing I would recommend is figuring out what you're looking for. Now, I would say that there are a couple things across the board in general that you should look for, and that's the home that's either owned outright or has quite a bit of equity, and a home that has a good interest rate. The first question you're going to ask yourself, or I would ask you if I were your agent, is what are you looking for? I had an investor who was looking for a 4-bedroom house around the 650 mark in Pleasant Grove. That was perfect because that's exactly what I needed to know in order to find him a deal. So as your agent, once I know what you're looking for, that's when I'm going to dive into the market. So first I'm going to look at listings that are active and available. I'm also going to look at expired listings, withdrawn listings, canceled listings. I will also go into the rental listings in the market. I'm going to also employ door knocking, cold calling. I'm also going to reach out to my network of agents, especially being on the #1 team in Utah. We cover a lot of ground, so chances are somebody knows someone that has a property that would be off market. Once we find properties that will work, the second step is to get the seller on board. Now, most sellers are not familiar or comfortable or even know what seller financing is. So I start off by asking questions about the sellers. I ask about their situation, their motivation, their timeline, and more than anything, their pain points. I will then do my best to address some of their concerns. A lot of the concerns and objections fall into similar categories. One of them I would say is they don't want to be the bank. They don't want to deal with a buyer not making payments. They're uncomfortable with loaning to someone they don't know. Another objection that's very common is we need the money from the sale for, whatever reason they were selling. By asking these questions, I figure out if A, seller financing is even going to work for this home, but B, I'm also going to start educating the seller or the listing agent, whoever I'm speaking with, in order to address these common concerns that a lot of them have. And by offering them solutions to these pain points, we start to get them on board or at least open-minded to the idea. Once I find out what's important to them, what they're looking for, and what would make an offer appealing to them, especially a seller finance offer, then I'm able to present them with different options like cash flowing $500 a month or a large down payment to get them into their next home or to buy the car that they want to buy, or we'll offer them a higher purchase price so they get the price that they want on the home. And we start to build out these different solutions and these different options that will help them get on board and feel like they're winning in the scenario. Once I'm able to get the seller somewhat on board or at least open-minded to seller financing, then we figure out how to structure the deal. The first thing you have to know when you're structuring the deal is whether there's a loan on the property or not. If there's not, it gets pretty easy as far as structuring the different terms. If there is a mortgage or multiple loans on the property, you need to know a few things. First off, you have to know the market value of the home. Whether or not you offer the market value is a different story, but you need to know what it's actually worth. Your agent should be able to run a quick CMA for you and get you a really good estimate on that. In addition to market value, you need to know the balance of the mortgages on the property, whether there's 1 or 2 or 5, or I wouldn't do 5 if it were me. By taking the market value and subtracting any loans on the property, that's how you know the equity, and that equity is what you have to play with as far as down payment. Another thing you need to know is the monthly payments that the seller has. Now, technically, your seller financing payments could be lower than those, but chances are the seller's not going to like that. They would be negative cash flowing every month. So you need to have an idea of where their mortgage payments are, because it's very likely that you'll need to stay above that with your monthly payment. I would also put in here the honorary term of interest rate. You probably need to know what their interest rate is. It would be very helpful in structuring the deal. Let's do an example so that you know what I'm talking about. Let's say that the market value of a home is $650,000 and the sellers have a $500,000 loan on it. If you take the $650 minus the $500, they have $150,000 in equity. So you as the buyer can bring in a down payment up to $150,000. You don't want to bring in a down payment above their equity amount because it gets really messy. And let's say in the scenario, the seller's monthly payment is $2,500. You're going to want to stay above that. In my other seller finance videos, I talk about these terms as levers, and now is the time where we're bringing up the levers. I want you to imagine 3 levers and then a box on the side that says monthly payment. The 3 levers are purchase price, down payment, and interest rate. And as you adjust any of these levers up or down, the monthly payment changes. So as you adjust purchase price up or down, the monthly payment will go up or down. If you adjust the interest rate up or down, then the monthly payment goes up or down. The down payment actually has an inverse reaction, meaning that the larger the down payment, the lower the monthly payment. And if you come in with a lower down payment, then the monthly payment would be higher. We also have the honorary term of balloon payment because it doesn't affect all these levers, but it is a negotiation point when we're structuring a seller finance deal. Now, I have a somewhat complicated spreadsheet where I plug these numbers in, and it also carries a few different other numbers as far as taxes, insurance, rental amount if it's an investment property, return on cash, all of those things, because they're all really important to know, but you do need to know the basics of how the different terms work and how they affect the monthly payment. And no matter if you're using a spreadsheet or an online calculator, you need to be able to structure a deal where your down payment is within their equity and your monthly payment is a little bit above theirs. Now, if you're an investor and the property is rented, that's another great thing to know is how much is it renting for. Let's say in our scenario where this seller has a monthly payment of $2,500 a month and the property is renting for $3,000 a month, chances are you're gonna want your monthly payment to be under that $3,000 but above the $2,500. That way you're splitting that cash flow somehow with the seller. Now where you split it is up to you guys. The last step would be presenting it to the seller. Sometimes you're working through a listing agent. It can add a little bit of telephone, but ultimately it's the same. Now, what I have seen work the very best when presenting to the seller is maxing out their pain point lever. What I mean is if their pain point is purchase price, if their pain point is the cash that they walk away with, if their pain point is monthly cash flow, whatever their pain point is, I would recommend when you're structuring this deal that you max out that lever towards the seller. And then you take these other levers and you bring them towards yourself in order to make it a win-win. But the point of a negotiation that you are maxed out on is going to be the seller's pain point. In my experience, that's going to get you an accepted contract faster than anything else. Another thing I found very helpful when presenting it to sellers and or listing agents is presenting a couple different if-then scenarios. If we get you this price, would you be willing to do a monthly payment of this? If we can get you this down payment, would you budge on interest rate? That type of thing. And once you formally agree on terms, you write up the contract with a seller financing addendum and you're off to the races. I would definitely recommend using a title company who has seller financing experience because since there's no bank drawing up these loan documents, it's going to be the title company do it. You have to use someone who knows what they're doing. If you've been struggling to find seller finance deals, these strategies should give you an edge. But here's the thing, if you're not working with an experienced real estate agent who's going to help you find the deals, negotiate the deals, and structure them, you're probably leaving money on the table. I work with buyers and investors all the time to help them secure these off-market seller finance deals in Utah. If you want an expert in your corner to help you find and lock in these opportunities, let's talk. Call me or text me at this number, or you can click the link in the description to schedule a time to connect. If you want more advanced deal breakdowns, or if you want to know about some of the deals that I've negotiated, let me know in the comments and I'm happy to do a video about them.